Well, we can return again to our top story. Sir Keir Starmer has suggested that some pro-Palestine marches could be stopped because of their impact on the UK's Jewish community. Co-founder of Stop the War Coalition, John Rees, joins me now. Very good afternoon to you, John. Do you interpret from these comments that your marches could be stopped?
Well, it's certainly the threat, isn't it? Keir Starmer and others have been absolutely clear. Mark Rowley, the head of the Metropolitan Police, have been absolutely clear that they're looking at this. And this will be to strike at the root of free assembly and free speech in this country. I heard your previous interviewer saying, oh, well, surely they've done enough. Well, I'm sorry, but the conflicts in the Middle East haven't stopped. The killing hasn't stopped. In fact, under President Trump's leadership, they've spread around the Middle East. And I don't think that people in this country minded to say, oh, well, we did it once and that didn't work, so we're now going home. I think as long as the wars continue, as long as the killing continues, people will want to say to this government, you're complicit in this and you should stop. And will want to say to the Israeli government, you're setting the Middle East on fire. It's now impacting not only the lives of Palestinians, but the livelihood of people around the globe, and you should stop.
Yeah, but I think that what is being focused on it is not that. It's a small percentage of people who come on the marches and they talk about globalise the Intifada, people in T-shirts with hang gliders on, signifying what happened or glorifying what happened on October the 7th. What do you, as an organiser, sort of message to those attending your marches about the way in which they must and mustn't comport themselves?
Well, the demonstrations have been 34 national demonstrations. There are hundreds of thousands, millions of people in total that have been on those demonstrations. As the Metropolitan Police themselves admit, there have been a minuscule number of arrests for any offence whatsoever, and of that minuscule number, an even smaller number have been for the kind of things that you're referring to. Our stewards, when they see inappropriate slogans, intervene and ask people, we don't have the force of law, ask people not to use them, and by and large, they comply. So we have to be absolutely clear here. There is no threat whatsoever to the Jewish community from these marches. In fact, they are attended by thousands of Jewish people, often in a bloc, in the Jewish bloc, who disapprove of the actions of the government and disapprove of the actions of the state of Israel. So there isn't just one opinion in the Jewish community here. There are Jews, as there are in every community, with a different set of opinions, and many of them come on our march and, of course, are completely safe, which they wouldn't be if these were anti-Semitic marches, of course.
Well, but we're speaking against the backdrop of, while these marches have been going on for weeks and months, against the backdrop of arson attacks, stabbings, murders. What Sir Michael Ellis, former Attorney General, was saying there is that the cumulative effect on the Jewish community and the society's response to the Jewish community, it just needs to stop. There needs to be a circuit break.
Well, and the problem with this kind of analysis is that it acts as if there's a causal relationship between the demonstrations and the attacks on Jewish people. But as we now know from the background of the person who committed this latest obscenity in Golders Green, actually the connection is that they were mentally ill, that they were in the PREVENT programme. That very morning they'd attacked a Muslim man, which isn't as part of the news cycle, unfortunately, because it would frame it rather differently. There is a failure in the PREVENT programme. There is a failure to protect people from these kind of individuals, but these kind of individuals are not attached to the Palestine movement. They are not attached to the marches. There's no evidence that they've ever seen a march, let alone been on one, or that the organisers would for a second condone it. So this connection is completely fallacious. And what the Prime Minister and others are doing is weaponising and instrumentalising claims of anti-Semitism to try and marginalise and defeat their political opponents. Keir Starmer's premiership is tanking, and it's tanking partly over its handling of the Palestine issue. And he's lost elections, 5 independent MPs elected primarily on the Palestine issue at the last general election. He's going to lose thousands of councillors, possibly and definitely related to this issue. And he should stand back and think whether it is a sensible use of his office to use claims of anti-Semitism against people who are absolutely not anti-Semitic but are indeed anti-racist, and try and lever himself out of a political problem by blaming us.
The march that you have intended in 2 weeks' time is going to be contemporaneous, from what I understand, with a Tommy Robinson organised march. How do you think that's going to go?
Well, I think this has been a complete failure to police this properly by the Metropolitan Police. The Palestine Coalition hold an annual Nakba Day march. That's to commemorate the original dispossession of the Palestinian people, and we do it every year. And we applied for the right to demonstrate on this occasion months and months ago. We didn't hear from the Metropolitan Police until they told us that they'd handed over the entire central government area, Whitehall and Parliament Square, to Tommy Robinson, who is, by the way, deliberately holding a demonstration on that day in order to try and intimidate the Palestinian movement. Sir Mark Rowley should have intervened at that point and said, we do not want far-right protesters on the streets of central London on any day, but we particularly object to them trying to dislodge the annual Nakba Day demonstration. So I hope there's time for the Prime Minister and for the Metropolitan Police to back up here and say that Tommy Robinson is making a provocative attempt to marginalise Palestinian voices, and rather than assist him, they should stop him.
And John, if you are told that that your march cannot go ahead on the 16th of May, what are you going to do about it? We will still find ways of protesting effectively. I do not accept that there is any legitimate reason for attacking the freedom of assembly and freedom of speech in this country. I mean, heavens knows there's enough of it going on already. If the police officers who are currently being employed dragging off pensioners for holding a sign saying, I support Palestine action, were deployed protecting the Jewish community, perhaps we will be further forward. All right, John Rees, thank you for